Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the final whistle here on Relaks Radio, where we discuss all things football. I'm joined once again by Marat and Kings. How we doing, boys?
Hello.
I'm peachy. I'm not gonna lie, very peachy. You know it's gonna be very hot today, so I'm about to enjoy this weather, huh?
Yeah, I'm going out. I'm going out after this, so it's going to be
sweet.
Going to be a fun one. So in today's show, we are discussing obviously football. Didn't come home. Instead, it went to Rome, England. 3-2 on penalties to Italy. Like, bit of a disappointing result for us. But we'll start with that one. Marat, just get your thoughts on how that game went.
Well, we got off to a fantastic start. 2 minutes in, Luke Shaw back post on the volley, hits the post and goes in. Yeah, like I said, it was a good start. I felt like we sat off a bit once we got the goal. And I don't know if anyone else noticed or if it was just me, but I felt like Italy was shocked and they were stunned when we scored so early on in the game. And I felt like that's when they probably were at their most vulnerable. So we could have I was hoping that we could have got a second before half time and sort of, gave us, eased the pressure off us a little bit. But unfortunately, as soon as we scored, we sort of sat back and went to how we've been playing all tournament, where we're getting a goal and just sitting back and, catching teams on the counter. But overall, I think it was a okay performance. Unfortunately, Italy got back into the game with, for me, which quite a lucky goal. I mean, Pickford makes a fantastic save, comes off the post and then falls straight to Bonucci, who was in the right place at the right time. So,
very scrappy goal.
Yeah, so there was nothing we could really do about that. But like I said before, I can't fault the boys. I think we've had a fantastic tournament. There's a lot more positives to take out of it than negatives. Like we've obviously spoken about before, there was a few outstanding or players that stood out in this tournament, and hopefully we can bring that into next year in Qatar.
Yeah,
indeed.
Obviously, the next big one for us is the World Cup. So. Yeah. I mean, if anything, I consider this tournament as I said it before. It's not really, but I consider it to be like a pre-season for the World Cup. It's finding that team that's really going to work. And I think if we go to Qatar with the same team, we have a good chance. The only difference being is that it's going to be a lot more tough because we're not facing teams just from Europe. We've got the likes of Brazil. We've got the likes of Uruguay, Paraguay, Argentina. Just the normal guys that cause problems. And obviously, I think Argentina have just won the
Copa America. Yeah,
Copa America. So obviously, they're going to be looking for blood.
Yeah, straight off.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Have the groups been released for the World Cup yet, or have we? No. Obviously, when the groups get released for the World Cup, you'll hear about it here first on the final whistle. Kings, let's go to you, mate. How do you feel about it?
Well, let me just go straight into it and say I definitely did point out the fact that the intelligence of both Bonucci and Chiellini were going to show very well in this match, and they did. Was
it intelligence from Chiellini, or was it just I'm going to win at all costs?
Do you know what it is? I think it was a bit of both. That's the thing. I think it was a bit of both. With the foul on Saka, everyone knew that it should have at least been. It was definitely we all feel like it should have been a red card, but he wasn't the last one.
It was definitely a red card. I don't know.
Definitely.
If you consider it anything less than a red card, then you're wrong.
No. I don't consider any less.
Yeah, it was intentional. Yeah. There was malicious play,
straight
and Saka was on a break. It was potentially a goal scoring opportunity for which
exactly.
He pulled him back. It should have been a red card.
It should have been, but the thing is, I feel like it's because of the fact that he went by the rules of the fact that he wasn't the last man. That's the reason why he got away with the yellow. So many people screamed at it. I was screaming at it, thinking he should have got a red. He should have been sent off. I was just disappointed by it, but I also understand that when it comes to defending, you have to be so that it's the intelligence behind defending, especially with someone like Chiellini and Bonucci. They are just capable of being able to lock things down. It doesn't matter how fast another player is. As I said before, I pointed this out before. They are capable of being able to lock down attackers from being able to get past them. That was a tactical foul. I'm not defending it and saying that it should have been done because realistically he should have been off the pitch. But that was a tactical foul to prevent anything going forward from that point. realistically, I feel like Saka could have probably ended up injured from a foul like that anyway, because he really dragged him to the ground. I don't know if he dragged him by his knee, he dragged him from his shoulders, and he could have easily just, I don't know, hurt knees or whatever. But I feel as though that it was definitely a red card foul. It was definitely a red card foul, but I feel that because of the fact that they went off of the fact that he wasn't the last man, that's the reason why he got away with it. And besides that, it was definitely a win at all cost situation in terms of, we like got to keep pushing, got to play dirty, this one and that one. They got to play scrappy, and that's what they did. They played scrappy, they played this, they played that. I believe there was definitely an injury point. I probably saw like a couple 2-foot tackles, maybe a couple high feet as well. It was a pretty sketchy match. It was a pretty sketchy match, but nonetheless, all the more entertaining. So,
I mean, from my perspective, obviously, I was watching it from home. I know Marat was meant to go to the final, but didn't actually end up going. I was watching it from home, and it was me, my missus, and my sister. And we were literally screaming at the TV because of just some of the fouls that were made, like Harry Kane getting headbutted, not intentionally, obviously, but they clashed heads in the foul in the air for a header. Jack Grealish getting studied as well, like that was malicious. That was malicious. Like, I don't care what anyone said. You can sit here and say that he was in the middle of a tackle. He was late into the tackle anyway, and his feet were really high. The fact he didn't get booked for it, I can't remember who it was, but the fact that no one got booked for that was absolutely disgusting. All I will say, however, is that whole game, until he come off, Chiesa was an absolute monster. Yes. He was so hard to break down. He was always where you wanted him to be at any one time. And that was it at his target, man. That whole game. Chiesa was it at his target, man.
Yep, literally.
And I feel as if you're talking about tactical fouls. Us getting him off the pitch was a tactical injury. Like, I don't care what anyone says.
You know what? Yeah, you see one thing I like about Chiesa throughout the whole tournament is the fact that this guy always manages to get to his spot. He always manages to get to his spot. And one thing I like about Chiesa is his development. He's had such a very good development coming up from, I believe it's Fiorentina. He came from Fiorentina and he was building up slowly but surely. And as soon as he came to Juve, it's like he made his mark saying, yeah, this is what I'm about. You know what I mean? And then from then, he started translating all of this behavior on the Italian national team playing in the Euros. This guy has literally shown signs of being able to dribble, hold the ball. Like, he's shown signs of being able to hold the ball and get past multiple defenders, or at least, create a scoring opportunity either for himself or for a teammate. Like, for example, there was one chance I think I remember where as soon as he received the ball, he dribbled out just beyond the box, and he taken a shot, and he just taken a shot which he had curved, and I think Pickford just about stopped it, which went to a corner chance. Like, you see, a player like that isn't someone to be messed with, especially when they're showing you that they are capable of scoring, and he's done that many times during the tournament. So
Marat, coming to you, obviously with the fouls and stuff. Like, is there anything that stood out for you that shouted out that there should have been more than just a yellow card or a telling off?
I think the Saka situation, obviously, as much as we're an England fan, for me, it wasn't a sending off because it wasn't a goal scoring opportunity. If he was one-on-one, literally like facing Donnarumma in that situation, then that's a goal scoring opportunity. But because he was all the way out wide and in the corner, for me, and he wasn't the last man, so I understand why Chiellini wasn't shown a red card. So that's like my whole point of view on that. I mean, look, with the fouls and stuff in the game, I think it's game management from Italy. They've been there before, so especially the more experienced players in Bonucci, Chiellini, Jorginho and stuff like that. They've been there before, so they know what it takes to win like a tournament. And for them, I feel like it's a case where if they have to foul a player, they're going to have to foul them. So I think in the end, it was probably good game management by them, and we sort of played into their hands. So, I mean, obviously it's not nice to watch and it's not nice to see. And I know if we did it to them, we would have said, like, if we ended up winning it as well, we would have said, oh, that's good game management from our two CDMs, Declan Rice and Hendo. So yeah, it's like it is a bit of sad situation that he has to come down to that. But at the end of the day, the result is what matters the most, and they ended up coming out with a victory.
Yeah. So obviously, just briefly before we go into the break, we've got 2 minutes before the break. Just want to go over like all the stats and statistics from that game, like I do with every single game that we do. So we're starting with shots. Obviously, Italy had 19 shots on target. 19 shots with 6 shots on target. England had 6 shots with 2 on target. Possession, Italy with a far more dominant team with 66 possession throughout the whole game. 820 passes with an 88% pass accuracy. No red cards, 5 yellow cards, 5 offsides, 3 corners for Italy, and then obviously 1 yellow card, 1 offside, and 5 corners for us. So just from those stats alone, like Italy with a more dominant team the whole game. There's no if, buts, or maybes about it. England woke up like I think 10 minutes at the end of the first half, and then 10 minutes at the end of the second half. If that was a tactic made by Southgate to sort of sit back and wait for the last 10 minutes and then catch them and shock them like we did in the first half, I don't think it played out very well. Italy with a far more dominant team, they slapped us all up and down the field, and
For me,
go on, mate.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say like I said in the first half, when we scored early on, I genuinely thought if we got the second, and we could have actually seen the game out, because like I said in previous games, once we've got a goal, we like to sort of sit back. But when teams are vulnerable, like the Ukraine game, like I just felt like we didn't stop in that game, and we played to our strengths. I mean, Southgate has done a fantastic job, but I just felt like maybe in that first half, if we grabbed the second, then the second half we could have played how Southgate would have wanted, and maybe sat back a little bit more and sort of like absorbed the pressure that Italy would have brought to us. I don't think going forward Italy are that great, apart from Chiesa and Insigne, who had an off game on Sunday. I don't think they're much of a threat. So if we got that second goal, maybe it would have been different. But it's just hindsight, and obviously being in that situation is hard. But like I said, I think Gareth Southgate has done a fantastic job over the last couple of years, and I feel like he's really brought this team together, and you can see that there's a unity within the squad, and every player supports every player. And for me, the most important thing after Saka missing that penalty was seeing all the players like go towards him and just say to him, look, it doesn't matter, like consoling him and telling him like, look, like don't worry about it, like it is what it is. And another thing as well, like for me, Bukayo to step up is just like he's just showing his character once again, like I've mentioned before. Like he doesn't shy away of like these big moments, and that's why I think one day he's going to be such a good player, because I have seen youngsters in the past shy away from these sort of opportunities, and Bukayo is a great example of for any footballer like coming up and his age to sort of take these risks, because at the end of the day, if you don't take risks, you won't ever get rewards. So like a massive sort of props to him for even stepping up. And like I've mentioned before, I think he's going to be a fantastic player, and we love you, man. We're all behind you, and we hope you're going to have a fantastic season at Arsenal this year, which I know he is. So
perfect. Well, we're gonna cut to a short break now. If you want to get involved in the conversation, you can WhatsApp us on 07852 473 473. Alternatively, you can download our app on iOS and on the Android store. We are live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. If you've got any comments, leave them down below, and we will put up any comments and talk about them on screen. As for right now, we're going to cut to a short break. We'll be back after this. Good morning. Welcome back to the final whistle, where we discuss all things football. So, just before the break, we briefly touched on the performances. Now we're going to pinpoint key moments of the match. So let's start with that. Obviously, that goal within 3 minutes, scored by Luke Shaw. Absolute peach of a goal, if I don't say so myself. Quick build up in play. Ball's crossed in. I think it's then knocked out to Luke Shaw, who just on the first touch knocks it, clips the near post, and then into the back of the net. Marat, what did you make of that build up, mate?
For me, it was a fantastic goal. I think it took everyone by surprise how quick we started off and how efficient we were going forward, especially in that sort of attack. And for me, it was a fantastic ball in from Walker, but what was even better was how Kane dropped off into midfield, which I mentioned before, and what sort of player he's becoming into now, where he's dropping off deep to get it, and he's the one that sort of sprayed it out to the wing, and it was a fantastic ball from him. And Kyle Walker, which he's been doing all season for City, just putting in an unbelievable ball, and it was just one of them balls where it was just inviting someone just to get on the end of it. And Luke Shaw, luckily, was in the right place at the right time. And even his run as well was really good into the box, which we don't usually see. And for him to volley it first time, to come off the post and go in, and Donnarumma having no chance, it was a fantastic goal. And yeah, I was really happy with that, to be fair.
Kings?
Do you know what I gotta say? First off, I thought it was a Trippier assist, not Kyle Walker. I thought Trippier was the one that made the assist.
Trippier?
Yeah.
I don't know who made the assist. All I know is it was an absolute peach of a goal. Luke Shaw.
It was a half volley, wasn't it?
It was a half volley. It was a half volley. He takes it on the half volley, just smacks it
I do apologise. It was Trippier, yeah.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to say about that is, for starters, because I actually saw the whole build-up of play. So I was whilst watching the whole build-up of play, you could see everybody was becoming cohesive. It's like everybody knew exactly where to go. And even though there was no actual game plan set to be able to make that goal, it's because everyone kind of knew each other's movements, you could really see the team chemistry flowing through the squad. Do you get what I mean? So it all started from the back line, passing from behind. Then as soon as they've caught somebody in the midfield to run up, gone from Kyle Walker, passed it all the way up, and now the whole team's pushing forward. I feel as though this goal for Luke Shaw was undeniably completely deserved, mainly because he has performed amazing the whole tournament. He has been absolutely outstanding the whole tournament.
Shawbart O'Carlos, mate. Shawbart O'Carlos masterclass.
literally, he has played so outstanding throughout the whole tournament, and I feel like him also getting this goal is literally just the icing on the cake for him to have, you've played outstanding in the tournament and you've also scored a goal in the final. What else is there to you that, I don't know how to put it. It's there's nothing else to really say bad about you. You have literally proven how well you have played throughout the whole tournament. Do you know what I mean? So it just goes to show how much of an effect he's had on the team, and then having that goal as well. It's it's just capped off everything for him. It's just made everything full circle.
Yeah, for me as well. I don't think he gets enough credit because he was once told by Mourinho that he's not good enough and he's overweight and he's this and he's that, and for him to come back from such a serious injury to becoming the player that he is now, I think he's probably one of the first names on the team sheet for England, apart from obviously Harry Kane. I think he is up there to be one of the first players on the team sheet, and I think that's just a credit to him and how he's bounced back from an injury, because we all know what injuries can do essentially to a player. So for him to come back and, have the impact that he's had and the recovery that he's made in that time, he deserves a lot of credit for that, and fair play to him.
I'm gonna make a bold statement now, and I genuinely think this. I think if we going into the Qatar World Cup, they need to put the captain armband on Luke Shaw. I personally think. No. Listen. I've been very vocal about what I believe makes a captain before, and Harry Kane, although he's, he 9 times out of 10 he can make a massive impact to a game. I feel like the Euros really hasn't been his tournament. I don't really think he's made that much of an impact as what everyone was expecting him to be. Luke Shaw, however, even Pickford, they have all been so influential to that team that they've pulled that team together. Luke Shaw's obviously up and down the field. He's in every aspect where you need him to be. Harry Kane is obviously playing that more. He's playing that attacking midfield / strikers role. Like he's a bit of both as such. But really, for me, Luke Shaw is what you need in a captain. I just feel like he would be a good suit for the captain's armband, especially obviously if Harry Kane doesn't really have a good season this year. Is he gonna be called up? If buts and maybes. This is the thing. This is football. Anything can happen. We've seen stranger things happen in stranger places, and it might be after this season Harry Kane doesn't get called up. No one knows.
I disagree with you. There's no way Harry Kane will not get called up, even if he has a bad season at Tottenham. There is no way.
So you're saying to me, obviously, it won't happen. We know that this won't happen.
He's going to 100% get called up. He's the England captain, for a reason. Even if he's had an off season at Tottenham, he just needs one split moment where he can show his quality, and that would be absolutely bonkers if they ever left him out of the team, in my opinion. And for me, Luke Shaw doesn't have the leadership qualities in a player for him.
I agree with that.
I don't think he has that, and Harry Kane has showed that for a number of years for Tottenham, and he's shown that in the Euros for England. I mean, he's not scored like 10 goals in the Euros, but I think as a captain, it's more than goals, and it's more than just doing other things. I think we don't see a lot of the behind the scenes and what happens in like the training camp and the dressing room, etc. Like he could be like the most vocal player in there, but we'll never know. So, but I do think going forward, Harry Kane should definitely captain the team again. And obviously, it like even as an Arsenal fan, like sometimes when a player has got the quality of Harry Kane, like it's undeniable. So,
okay. So then my next question would be, for the Qatar World Cup, is there any position that you think that we should bring in other players? That's the question.
No.
No, you think that England team is impeccable when you can't make that team any better?
No, I wouldn't say it's impeccable, but if we're going by a starting 11, then for me, it's the starting 11 picks for itself, you know.
Okay.
This is tough. I'm not too sure.
What would you change?
Bringing any players? That's the thing. I'm not too sure. I'm not quite sure because I look at the whole.
If you're going to bring in any players, you're going to bring them into the squad. I wouldn't bring them into the starting 11. I feel like I mentioned before, I feel like Southgate, especially in that like first starting 11, has brought like a different unity in it. And I think, like King said in that goal, everyone just sort of knew what they were doing. It's like it was, you know, like when you're in training and you're doing like a training drill. That's how that goal felt like. And I feel I feel like the cohesion of them, the starting 11 now is like up there. Like, why would you want to change that, especially after like having such a fantastic tournament? It's not like any of the players have underperformed or done bad. I think everyone in that starting 11 deserves to be in there. Maybe in terms of bringing other players into the squad on the subs bench, I could agree with you. But that starting 11, for me, I wouldn't change at all.
Okay, so what about obviously Trent Alexander-Arnold? Obviously, he missed out this tournament because of an horrific injury as such.
Yeah.
Does he slot in to Kyle Walker's position?
Yeah. For me,
no. I want to say Kyle Walker's position.
For me, Trippier doesn't go.
Trippier doesn't go.
Yeah, for me, that was my sort of selection before the Euros started. If Trent obviously wasn't injured, I don't think for me Trippier goes. But then again, it's such a difficult situation because Trippier won the league at Atletico this year, and it's just so hard to leave him out. And I think I'm happy that I'm not in Southgate's position to make that decision. So for me,
I've made myself perfectly clear on how we're going back to recaps now. Like, I've made myself perfectly clear how I feel about where players should come from. Like, obviously, with Spain, there are 3 big teams in Spain: Atletico, Barcelona, Real Madrid. None of the other teams are in contention for that title. Whereas in England, you've got the likes of Chelsea, Man United, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs. You name it. You name
Leicester.
it. There are so many teams in contention, and English football is the hardest form of football. It's so back and forth. It's the most high-paced football. So for Kieran Trippier to win a title in Spain really doesn't really shout out brilliance for me. It just shouts out he was in the right place at the right time. He was at the right team at the right time. Because that team, that Italian league has always been either Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Atletico have always been like a close second or third.
Spanish league.
What did I say?
Italian.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Spanish league. Sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get where you're coming from. But I think at the moment, especially with Barcelona and Real Madrid, they're at a rebuilding stage where a lot of their players have become old and they're letting go of a lot of their veteran players. And I think even we can't take away the fact of what Simeone has done, because like you said, it's always been Barcelona and Real Madrid in that league, and for Atletico to come out of nowhere and have a fantastic season. And I think Luis Suarez deserves a lot of credit for what he's done.
Luis Suarez was the main reason for Atletico winning that title. 100%.
And he obviously come from Barcelona. So, but for me, like I said,
after
I think
1 season as well.
Yeah, for me, in terms of that right back position for England, it's probably one of the hardest decisions that Southgate is going to have to make. But yeah, obviously it made it a bit easier for him that unfortunately Trent got injured. But I think if a fully fit Trent definitely for me gets over a fully fit Kieran Trippier. Don't get me wrong, I think Trippier is a fantastic player, but for me it's got to be Trent.
Cool.
I'd agree with that.
Go on, Kings. Have your opinion before we go to the break, mate. What do you
All right. I completely agree with that. Like putting Trippier in the starting 11 putting Trent in the starting 11 over Trippier. I completely agree with that, mainly because of the fact that we've seen the type of class, especially whenever it comes to being able to pass from Alexander Trent-Arnold. Like we've seen what he's been capable of doing whilst playing for Liverpool. We've seen that he's definitely got that good eye for vision. Yeah. I'm not saying Trippier doesn't have this, because he has definitely shown signs of being able to pass the ball very well, including that assist to Luke Shaw's wonderful goal in the finals. But with Trent, I feel as though that he'll be able to find some of the passes that Trippier wouldn't have been able to see. Do you know what I mean? Like, Trent isn't the most defensive right back, but he is capable of doing a lot of things that most right backs can't do. And that's being able to have that good vision over, if you know what I mean. Like being able to pinpoint a pass from literally just out front. Like he'll be able to see everything from a distance. So yeah, I feel as though I'll put Trent in that starting 11 over Trippier.
Cool, perfect. Right, we're going to go to a short break here on the final whistle. If you want to get involved in the conversation, you can do so by calling or WhatsApping 07852 473 473. You can also download our app on the iOS and Android store. We are live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. If you want to get involved in the conversation, leave a comment down below in the comment section, and we shall pull up your comments live on screen. As for right now, we're going to go for a short 3-minute break, and we'll be back after this. Good morning.
It gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh, so that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, got me thinking. You want to stand out. Why do you want to stand out though so much, especially with these kind of shirts when you're riding? There must be a purpose behind it, right?
Well, when you say a purpose, Nick, what I do, I wear the shirts, mainly one because they're nice and bright, so they make me visible, especially if I'm riding on the road.
Okay. Yeah, that's very important, right? Because you want cars,
very important. And also, like, people see me in like calves, and perhaps I shouldn't be saying this on here, I suppose, but in the bar afterwards.
All right.
And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh, so that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, you look like a guy who would do.
You know me too well. You know me too well, Nick.
The valuations that you place on an asset always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday. And what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need? Yeah. So that's quite important, because when you're looking at your net worth, you got to start with saying, well, what do I want my net worth to be, so that there's a goal, and then work backwards. How do I get there? And if I can start with £50 or $50 a week, if I save that every week, and you can go online and use calculators online. I don't have to teach you the maths behind it, but you can say, okay, and if I get a 3% return and I put this away for how long will it take to reach my goal? And that's called just this basic cash flow projection calculations. And it's what we use in financial planning all the time. What we say to clients is we say, okay, what is your goal? What is your objective? Where do you want to go to? And we discuss that in a lot of detail and over most of the meeting. And then the rest of it is saying, okay, in your exact circumstances, with your risk profile, with how you feel about investments and pensions and taxes and where you are and who you work with, and your education level or your lack of education or how involved you want to be. There's a lot of variables that we take into account. And then we say, okay, here's a plan. You start like this, that's great. And then we review it all the time. And we say, okay, we need to increase it, we're on track, we're not, this is what is happening. Because remember, when you're dealing with assets, the valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday, and what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's a struggle. Yeah. So there are strategies everywhere from £50 a week up to £100 million, and they're different. Right? They range differently from everyone, but and from country to country, to be fair. Different countries have different tax laws, so different vehicles. But from your point of view, at the sort of normal end, I'm not going to call it the low end because I'm in that boat as well. It's as tax efficient as you can get it. That's where you start. You use all the tax efficiencies, and then you step up into different things.
Welcome back to the final whistle, where we discuss all things football. So we've been talking about, obviously, the England versus Italy game, and we talked about some key points about the team. Obviously, we were talking about, just before the break, we were talking about players that our opinions on players that should be brought to Qatar instead of being left at home. And obviously, you I don't think anyone mentioned any players, did we?
To add to the squad.
Yeah.
Nah, I was questioning it for a sec, but I don't think I can see anyone being added.
Obviously, in the little private chat that we've got, I mentioned a player that I believe should be brought forward to Qatar after having a massive season at West Ham, and that is Jesse Lingard. Obviously, Jesse Lingard fell out of contention at Man United, wasn't really played, went on loan to West Ham, and had a fantastic season. And now, obviously, West Ham are looking to get his signature on a permanent basis. The question is, obviously, who do we take instead for Lings to have a chance? Obviously, I mentioned two players. I've just found out that one didn't even go to the Euros, but the other one, obviously, the other one is Tyrone Mings, who obviously only started because Slabhead was injured. But if you've got Slabhead, or Harry Maguire, as everyone knows him, if you've got Slabhead, who's going to start on a continuous basis, obviously you've got that depth in his position anyway. Why not take Jesse Lingard over Tyrone Mings? Murat, we'll start with you.
Because if what happens if you get injuries?
Like I said, you've got that depth in that position. You've got the likes of Kieran Trippier who can start in near enough every position known to man. He's a jack of all trades.
I disagree. I don't think Trippier can do a job at centre back. I think for me, I don't think that
He's too small. He's too small.
I think taking out a centre back to put in a midfielder is I wouldn't do it personally. Don't get me wrong. I think Jesse Lingard had a great season at West Ham, and I think he was probably one of the main reasons why they did so well. But for me, there's no one that I would take out in the England squad right now.
Okay. What about Ben Chilwell? Obviously, we didn't see him at all.
Yeah, but what if Luke Shaw gets injured? He's playing left back. If Chilwell's not there.
That is true.
What you've got to understand is if you don't have a strength and depth in every position, what if a player gets injured? I understand where you're coming from, but what you've got to also consider is if there's an injury, what's going to happen then? You're going to be playing players out of position, and then when a mistake happens from that player, then it's obviously not going to be good. But
okay, right. We had 3 goalkeepers.
Yeah,
on that Euros lineup, we had we had Jordan Pickford, Nick Pope, and Dean Henderson.
Nick Pope wasn't there.
Nick Pope wasn't part of it. No. It was Pickford, Ramsdale,
Dean Henderson, Pickford, and there was one more
from Sheffield United.
No, he only come in because Dean Henderson got injured.
Ramsdale, no, it was Ramsdale.
Ramsdale and Johnston. That's who it was.
That's it. No, yeah, because Ramsdale only come in because Dean Henderson got injured in the camp.
Okay. So there's three keepers there. Do you need 3 keepers? Do you need 3 keepers?
Look, this is another example. Dean Henderson got injured.
Yeah.
So if there will be injuries, and then what if Pickford got injured in the game against the game against Denmark? Then you're relying on a goalkeeper that's like what 8? How old is Ramsdale? He's quite young, and obviously Sheffield United went down this season, so they didn't have the best seasons, in my opinion. So you're gonna have to rely on a keeper that hasn't had the best of seasons. There's a lot of factors to bring into these sort of situations.
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of if, buts, and maybes when it comes to selecting a team. What about Jude Bellingham? Because I don't think Jude Bellingham made a massive impact at all.
No, he didn't play that much, though. That's the thing. He didn't play that much. Anyway.
I think when he was called upon when he come off the bench, he was fantastic. And I think a lot of people forget how young he is and what sort of... Because Jude Bellingham is a sort of player that when you come on, he's going to go win you the ball back. And I noticed in a few games he was doing exactly what obviously he was asked to do. And just to have that coming off the bench is a massive thing. But for me, if you're going to bring in a player, like for example, if you're going to bring in Jesse Lingard, you have to take out a midfielder. And for me, in terms of midfielders in that squad at the moment, there's no one. Like I don't think Jesse Lingard gets over anyone, if that makes sense.
Even if we're talking about experience, obviously I'm not talking about like performance-wise. Obviously, you can have a bad season and still get called up upon, like we've seen with Raheem Sterling. If we want to go for a sheer team of experience and the competitive nature of that team, obviously, the one player that springs to mind, and I know you two are going to hate me for this because obviously he's one of your guys, Bukayo Saka. I don't think it will happen. Not at all. But I think for me, if you're putting that point across, the only logical replacement for that would be Bukayo Saka. If you want to go with a team full of experience, but again, you got to weigh up the possibilities. You got to weigh up. Do you want the experience or do you want the skill? There's got to be a balance of both. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and this is the thing though. I don't think Jesse Lingard has much more experience than Saka anyway. Like Jesse Lingard has been in and out of the England squad. It's not like he's had a consistent run. So like someone like Jordan Henderson or probably like Raheem Sterling, like someone like that. And for me, Bukayo wouldn't come out anyway because he's a winger. The only sort of players that would come out for Lingard is either Mount, Foden, Grealish, Henderson, Calvin Phillips, or Declan Rice.
Yeah, I wouldn't even, to be honest, I don't think I mean, they're all midfielders, but I wouldn't even say Declan Rice, Henderson, or even Calvin Phillips because, they need that defensive ability. I'd probably just
that's what I'm saying.
I don't even look towards the attacking front.
Yeah, like I said, for me, I don't. As much as Jesse Lingard, like I said, had a great season at West Ham. For me, I can see why Southgate hasn't picked him. Unfortunately for him.
Yeah.
Here's
But
my
this is-
thing.
yeah, no, sorry. Just before
Yeah.
let Kings have his thing, like for
Yeah.
me as well, like it's gonna be important to see how players like Lingard get on this season because he's had a good season last year. Is he going to be able to do it again now that he's back at United? Is he going to be able to get the game time back?
I do not see him wearing a United shirt again this season. I think he's going to be I reckon West Ham are going to get him. To be fair,
I hope he does. I hope they do.
And that's with every player though. That, as much as all these players had a great season last year, I think it's a massive factor to see if they have another good season this year. For me,
what I'm saying with the likes of Harry Kane. It's what I'm saying with the likes of Harry Kane. You seem to disagree with me on that.
Yeah, but for me, Josh, Harry Kane's irreplaceable.
Harry Kane's irreplaceable.
Harry Kane.
I think every England fan would agree with me on this. Yes, like I said, he hasn't scored the amount of goals we probably would have liked him to score in the tournament, but it's what he does on and off the pitch, which is a fantastic accolade for him because of the player that he is and the way he links up the play now. For me, he's not the goal scorer that he once was. He's more of a link up play, and he's got quality in the box, So for me, there's no way that I could leave him out. And for me, like I said, the starting 11 picks for itself. I think that will be the same for next year, unless one of the players get injured. But like I said, for me, it's more of the whole squad, the 23 man, if that makes sense, and who's going to be on the bench and who's going to be reserves, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Kings, have you got anything to input before we move on to the next topic?
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to literally say was the way I see it is that although Jesse Lingard had a great season, it's basically look at it like this way, yeah. Jesse Lingard had a great season, but his great season was only pretty much competing with players that had already shown signs of already having a great season. Do you know what I mean? So it's everyone on that England squad had either had a very good season or very good experience, if you know what I mean, in situations of a tournament. Whereas Lingard has only just literally had made his catch up, if you know what I mean. So it's he had been left out. He had been left out of Manchester United gameplay. He'd been left out of Manchester United gameplay for a very long time. But it was more like a build-up. So with how do I put this? Basically, with hold on, let me see if I can find my I'm gonna find my point. So basically, with the whole squad, look at Saka. They wanted to. You guys said that. Just said that the most logical or probably the closest individual to replace on that team would be Bukayo Saka. But Saka had already been having a good season or good couple seasons with Arsenal anyway. And Lingard had just been sitting on the bench. It wasn't up until this year that we could see that Bukayo Saka, Jesse Lingard was showing signs of having a good season when he got to West Ham. So it's Lingard's come from here to here. Meanwhile, Saka was already up there. Do you know what I mean? So it's not to say that Lingard doesn't deserve to be in the squad, but he's already competing with people that have already been having good seasons already. Do you get what I mean? He had a good season this year, but everyone on that team, majority of players on that team had already been having a good season. That's the reason why I feel he has been left out, and that's why I feel there's no one to really put Lingard in to take out. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. Right, so, okay. Yeah. So obviously we're gonna move on to the next topic before the break. I just want to get your guys' opinions on obviously the individual performances of the players throughout the tournament. Is there anyone? Well, obviously we'll start off with the negatives because I think it's good to end on a positive. Is there any player for you that there was so much hype built up around it that they didn't really perform to the likes to the way that you expected them to? Obviously, I'll start, and I'm going to throw a name out there: Mason Mount. I don't think he played well at all. For me, I know he missed. Was it 2 games he missed?
Yeah.
I don't really think he made an impact as much as what we thought he was going to make. Obviously, everyone. When obviously he was announced, everyone was like, "Yeah, Mount's going to score goals. Mount's going to score goals." I don't think he scored a single goal.
I don't think he scored anything during the tournament either. I don't think.
I agree with you.
Let me just finish as well. Obviously, the one example I want to make is obviously that game against Italy. Obviously, facing Italy is a tough game. There was that one chance that he had where all he had to do was square it. All he had to do was look square it, and there would have been another goal.
Oh,
You remember the point I'm talking about?
Yeah. He was near
The thing
post,
is,
near post.
Yeah, the inexperience didn't show, and he didn't look, and he just played it, and there was no one there.
Yeah. I remember. I think I was even screaming at that chance as well. I remember what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay. I somewhat agree.
So Mason Mount for me was the guy that was brought in that didn't really perform. I'm not knocking him at all. I think the guy's a quality player. He's a future world-class player. But for me, in the Euros, he didn't really perform. Murat, where are you at?
I think I agree with you to a certain point. Obviously, there's a lot of factors that we need to consider where he obviously missed a few games, but I think Mason's character and the type of player that he is, I don't think that would hinder his performance, or I didn't think it would. But yeah, like you said, I think there was a lot of hype around him. He wasn't awful, but we felt like he probably would have had a bit more of an impact.
I don't think anyone was awful, but I just feel like we didn't see the best of some players.
Yeah.
And I think Mason Mount was one of those players we didn't see the best of.
Yeah.
Like, there was definitely more opportunity to see so much more from Mount, and it's like, I won't say what we expected, but what we wanted, he wasn't showing. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, it's easy to have expectations of a player, and then if they don't meet it now, their name gets dragged through the mud. I feel like, for me, I feel like there's obviously basic expectations of all players, which is to capitalize in your positions or do, like, you know, commit to your roles. You're a striker, you either create chances or score goals. If you're a midfielder, you look for the forwards and find an accurate pass. If you're a defender, like, help the goalkeeper protect the box and defend the goal. You know what I mean? There's always going to be basic expectations. Obviously, with Mount, it's like we wanted to see more signs of we wanted to see more signs of that Champions League winning midfielder that we had seen in Chelsea. Do you get what I mean? We wanted to see more signs of that individual that was playing for Chelsea emulate into the England squad. And we
basically wanted to see the English Jorginho, and we didn't see it.
Yeah, and we didn't get any of that, basically. Instead, it was like we didn't get much of a performance. Like, there was basically so much space for him to fill in terms of how good of a midfielder he is. Because, like, all of us know that he's a very class midfielder. He's
exceptional player.
He's a class midfielder, and he's definitely going to get better as the years go by. But there was so much space for him to fill in terms of being that midfielder for England, like being that midfielder to be able to rely on when it comes to making that accurate pass, or just being able to make a nice long shot from outside of the box or something. I don't know, something to test the keeper. So and we didn't get that.
We're in agreement then, mate. We're in agreement that Mason Mount didn't perform the way we wanted him to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to touch on something before we go into the break here. I think another key factor to consider in this sort of situation is, like, the England team performs so well. So I feel like if Mount even did play better than he did, I think it would have been overshone by the performances, like, from, like, Luke Shaw and Sterling and, like, others in the team, like Declan Rice. So I think sometimes it's just a factor where maybe the players that were, like, playing pretty much every single game and the performance that they were putting in would overshine what Mount would do. But Mount is ineffectively one of the more important players in that team because he is our playmaker, if that makes sense. Everything's gonna pretty much go through him. And I mean, it wasn't his best tournament, but he's got so many more tournaments to have. So hopefully at the World Cup, he's going to show that quality that we've seen at Chelsea all season.
Yep. Okay. And what about your England player of the tournament? Now, for me, quite an influential one, because I know you're probably going to say the likes of Raheem Sterling, but for me, Pickford had an amazing tournament, played out of his skin. We only saw him concede, was it 2 goals?
Two goals the whole tournament. Yeah.
5 clean sheets, won the Golden Glove for the tournament, had better stats the whole tournament than the likes of Gianluigi Donnarumma.
Let's not even forget that he made 2 huge saves in the penalty shootout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From what was it, Jorginho and Immobile, I think it was.
Was Immobile the first one? The first save he made? Because
it was either Immobile or Insigne. I can't remember his...
No. It wasn't Insigne. It wasn't Insigne. Why
Insigne come off, didn't he? Insigne come off.
Yeah, it wasn't Insigne. Yeah, it will come back to me. It'll come back to me.
Obviously, we spoke about this last week. Who are
Yeah.
the tournament as well? I think for me, as much as Pickford has had an amazing tournament, and I think with Jordan Pickford, I think we've touched on this before. I feel like he had an average season at Everton. He hasn't got the best defense in front of him, unfortunately. But I feel like when he's got a better defense in front of him, I feel like he gets that confidence that a goalkeeper would need. And I think he showed that in his tournament, and he did make some outstanding saves. I think his distribution at times was a bit questionable, but overall, I think he had a fantastic tournament. And he basically, I feel sorry for him because he kept us in the shootout. He kept us in certain games, and I feel like other players' performances will always like overshine someone like Pickford because he's a goalkeeper. So like.
Whereas no one ever really. How many times you see a man of the match performance being given to a keeper? You don't really, do you?
Rare.
So I think I'll stick with what I said last week. I think for me, Sterling. But if I was to pick my top three, it probably would be Sterling, Shaw, and then Pickford. Yeah, I think that would be my top three.
Perfect. There we go.
I pretty much agree with Murat. I would want to touch on the fact that the reason, obviously, we already know the reason why I picked Sterling as the player of the tournament is because, I mean, without Sterling, we wouldn't have realistically gone to the semis. That's the way it is, really. We wouldn't have even gone to the semis, talk less of even the final, because those were three pivotal goals, which had pretty much shifted the whole balance of the whole tournament for England as it was. Besides that, Pickford, on the other hand, absolutely phenomenal. Like, he literally emulated what it means to just be a keeper as well as a leader of the defensive line. Every single time there was a mistake, you could see him tearing their asses up, tearing them a new one, telling them, listen, you got to pattern up. Like, what is going on? Like,
Gonna give you that, Murat. Gonna give you that.
Literally, I remember seeing Pickford as soon as he makes a save off of one of the defenders' mistakes. He was like, what are you doing? Come on, like, engage brain. And just like that, back into the game, everyone's woken up again. So
perfect.
just like Murat, I'm putting it in the top three. I'll put Jordan Pickford. I'll put Jordan Pickford in my top three. I'll put Jordan.
There we go. Well, we're going to cut to a short break. If you want to get involved in the conversation, you can do so by calling us on 07852 473 473. Alternatively, you can download our app on iOS and Android. We are live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. If you've got any comments, leave them down below, and we will pull your comment up on screen and talk about them live. As for right now, we're going to cut to a short break, and we will be back after this. Good afternoon. Welcome back to the final whistle. Obviously, we're missing Marat. Marat will be back with us shortly. So just before the break, we discussed the. Oh, here we go. Marat is back. Sorry, Marat, we missed you.
There he is.
So just before the break, we discussed obviously our players of the tournament and players that we expected to shine through. Obviously, just before we move on to one of the most important things that we need to talk about. I just want to get everyone's recap on how they think the tournament went. Obviously, for me, the tournament was. I think we really saw like a different Euros tournament than what we've seen in previous years. I think a lot of people are invested in this year's one. Obviously, we had the easier side of the bracket, so everyone was behind England. And I think for me, seeing the whole putting rivalries aside, obviously I'm a Spurs fan, you two are Arsenal fans, but I think together we put that rivalry aside and we really got behind that England team. And I think that's what the rest of the country did. I think it's the first time in years that we've seen the country come together in unity to really get behind that England squad. Like we had, I think it was estimated that there was 24 million people that watched just the Ukraine game.
Yeah.
It's craziness, absolute craziness. And obviously, I think this we can discuss this because I think it really touches on the next topic as well. But just quickly, how do you what was your like overall reflection of the tournament? Kings, we'll start with you because we always start with Marat.
Do you know what my overall reflection of the tournament in terms of just as you'd already mentioned, the unity, the cohesion between fans. Like I don't think I've ever seen an Arsenal fan ever hug a Spurs fan up until the Euros without brutally murdering each other. Like I'm gonna be honest. But that's like the first time I've ever seen like rivalries between like Manchester United, Manchester City, Arsenal, Spurs. You know, the whole shebang, literally just
Liverpool and Everton.
Yeah, everything pushed to the side, and everyone was just there, happily singing along to "Sweet Caroline" and just kicking their feet in the air, saying it's coming home. Because honestly, it was probably one of the most beautiful sights I'd ever seen. Like football rivalry in the Premier League was put to the side to unify together to support one country, and it was a very nice thing to see. Like that, in my opinion, I feel as though because of the way the fans were, not to point out the fact that there were also some fans that were really, really out of order. Let's even point on the fact that, you know, the laser pointer in Schmeichel's eye and like other stuff as well. But besides a few bad eggs, I feel as though that the fans, the way that they were in terms of being so supportive of the squad, and being together as one really helped to motivate the squad even more to want to win more, if you understand what I mean. Like I feel like it was like that gentle push that kind of gave that kind of gave the England squad what they needed to be like, yeah, we got to bring it home, lads. We got to bring it home.
Yeah, obviously it wasn't just the European countries that were behind the whole tournament as well. Obviously, we saw the likes of Drake, who openly backed England. We saw the likes of Will Ferrell, who backed Sweden. The reason being his wife is Swedish.
Yeah.
There were loads of celebrities that got on board with this, and celebrities from other countries that were backing other teams.
Yeah.
And I think for the first time in a long time, the world was invested in football again, and I think it's the only time we're going to see it until the World Cup. In terms of entertainment value, I think the tournament was brilliant for entertainment.
Oh yeah.
There was so many antics, so much drama, and I think it really, really showed. Marat, what about you? What's your opinion on it all?
Yeah, I agree in terms of entertainment value. I think it was a fantastic tournament for obviously everyone. I think it was a great watch. I think a lot of people needed the break, like as in something to watch this summer after all the obviously stuff that we've been through over the last year or two. I think it was a nice little distraction for like a month or so, however long it was. And genuinely, I didn't want it to end, if that makes sense. And I felt like it went so quick, and I just feel like when something goes so quick, I feel like because you enjoyed it so much, and I felt like I said, I didn't want it to end. And like you said, in terms of entertainment, like the games were fantastic. It was nice to see. For me, another massive thing was seeing fans back in stadiums. I think that's what made this Euros as well. I feel like it wouldn't have been the same without them. So seeing fans back in stadiums was obviously a great touch as well. And I think the referees weren't too bad. I mean, there was a few questionable decisions in throughout the games, but look, no one's perfect, and they have a massive job on their hands, and I give them a lot of credit for what they do. And there are going to be times where they don't get it right, and there will be times where they get it. So there'll be times where they get it wrong and where they get it right. So overall for me, it was a fantastic tournament, and it's nice to sort of give us a little warm up going into the Premier League season, which is what I'm looking forward to next. And
4 weeks from now. 4 weeks from now.
Yeah. So
obviously, when we're talking about unity and stuff, obviously this is like I think an important topic for us to talk about. And with every positive thing, there's always a negative thing. And I just want to touch on obviously the antics of the England and Italy fans before and after the game. Now, here at Relaks Radio, we do not condone violence in any way, shape, or form. We do not condone any illegal activity. However, the England fans and Italy fans really let their sides down. Trafalgar Square was trashed, not even but long before kickoff. During the game, we obviously saw a massive influx of England fans without tickets stampede the security and make their way into the ground. Fans fighting amongst themselves. And even after the game, Italy fans were refusing to let England leave the stadium. And obviously, I think that really, in terms of letting the side down, I think that's a massive thing that really, I don't think it should have happened. Obviously, it's not even a case of I don't think it definitely shouldn't have happened. And I genuinely think that it really let it down for the majority of people. Obviously, there were adults with their kids at this final, and they're seeing a bunch of fully grown men knock 7 bells out of each other. Like, I don't really think there's no place for it in football. And obviously the racism afterwards, the hateful and negative comments towards the likes of Rashford, to the likes of Sancho, to the likes of Saka, all because they missed a penalty. Like, it happens. This is football. Football for people, football is more than just life or death. And as much as I can see why, again, it's a game, it's a sport, it's a competitive sport. Everyone is behind it for their own reasons. We at Relaks Radio do not condone racism in any way, shape, or form. And if you are part of the group of people that were hurling racial abuse at these players, you should be ashamed of yourself, because it's not on. The reason that they take the knee before every game is to kick out racism. It is a stand against racism. You want to boo the players for taking the knee. This is exactly the reason that they're doing it, to fight against the likes of you that are making these racial and negative comments, and we do not stand for it. Obviously, I want your guys' opinions of this. Obviously, Kings, we'll start with you. Obviously, you're from an ethnic background. Just seeing these comments of, people plastering monkey emojis on Rashford's pictures because he missed a penalty. How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel?
Well, for starters, it's like we understand that. I understand how much England were really like. This has been definitely a roller coaster of a tournament, and we didn't see much from Rashford. We only saw a little bit from Sancho. We saw a lot from Saka. We know that these players played with their hearts on their sleeves in order to be able to bring home a win. One thing that upsets me is the fact that had this been a win, it would have been complete acceptance. Yeah, these guys are the lads. These guys are, this and that. But because it was a loss, it was immediately straight slaughter. The reason why I don't like it is because of the fact that this literally is, in my opinion, a show. This literally shows why England can't have nice things. And I've said this to a lot of people. You can't go and slate players because of the fact that they missed a penalty when they've literally been performing for you throughout the whole tournament. If you take all of these players out, what do you have left? I'm not saying that the black players are better than the white players. This is all about diversity. Everyone has their own particular skill. But you take out all of those players that were playing for you within this tournament, you won't even know how far you'd be able to get. You need to show appreciation for every single person that was on that damn pitch. Because at the end of the day, one thing that we won't tolerate is racial abuse, especially whenever it comes down to the fact that these people are playing for you. They are playing for you. They're trying to
off the pitch as well. Let's not forget off the pitch as well. Whilst these guys were hurling it, let's talk about their antics off the pitch.
Off the pitch as well.
Rashford, for example, while these people were sitting there cheering their team on, Rashford was feeding kids.
Oh yeah,
there's a reason 100%. He has an MBE. There's a reason he had an MBE. After obviously on the 12th of July, Rashford released this statement. I don't even know where to start, and I don't even know how to feel, how to put it into words how I'm feeling at this exact moment in time. I've had a difficult season. I think that's been clear for everyone to see, and I probably went into that final with a kick of confidence. I always backed myself for a penalty, but something didn't quite feel right. During the long run-up, I was saving myself a bit of time, and unfortunately, the result was not what I wanted. I feel as though I've let my teammates down. I felt as if I'd let everyone down. A penalty was all I'd been asked to contribute towards the team. I could score penalties in my sleep, so why not that one? It's been playing in my head over and over since I struck the ball, and there's probably not a word to quite describe how it feels. Final, 55 years, one penalty, history. All I can say is sorry. I wish it had gone differently. Whilst I continue to say sorry, I want to shout out my teammates. This summer has been one of the best camps I've experienced, and you've all played a role in that. A brotherhood that has been built, that is unbreakable. Your success is my success. Your failures are mine. I've grown into a sport where I expect to read things written about myself, whether it be the colour of my skin, where I grew up, or most recently, how I decide. Sorry, this is a 2-page thing. How I decide to spend my time off the pitch. I can take critique of my performance all day long. My penalty was not good enough. It should have gone in, but I will never apologise for who I am and where I've come from. I felt no prouder moment. I felt no prouder moment than wearing those 3 lions on my chest and seeing my family cheer me on in crowds of tens of thousands. I've dreamt of days like this. The messages I've received today have been positively overwhelming, and seeing the response in Withington had me on the verge of tears. The community has always wrapped their arms around me, continue to hold me up. I'm Marcus Rashford, 23 years old, black man from Withington and Wythenshawe, South Manchester. If I have nothing else, I have that. For all the kind messages, thank you. I'll be back stronger. We'll be back stronger. MR10. So obviously, the racist comments have made a massive impact to him.
Of course, yeah.
But obviously, you're going to get people that back him.
Of course. Let me even point out the fact that, as you said, we are very aware that whilst everyone was here cheering their team on and doing this and that, he's been do you know what makes me laugh is the fact that he has probably fed some of the children that have been the perpetrators of these racist comments as well.
Yeah,
he's probably fed some of those kids, and they've come and said some nonsense like that as well. That mural that I saw that was defaced of his, I didn't even see what was put on there, but it was defaced. And it's crazy because it's like you have the audacity to do something to somebody that has done so much for your community. Realistically, if he wanted to, he could have just let all of you suffer, because he doesn't feel it. He hasn't got any type of issue. He's not suffering. He doesn't need to do anything. He's not required to do anything for any of you. He doesn't have to, but he chose to because it is within his good nature to help you. He saw that things weren't being done by the government, weren't going right with the government. The government weren't trying to do anything to help all of the kids that weren't being fed. He knows how it feels to be that exact same child that had to go and deal with only being able to eat at food banks. Eat at food banks, or only be able to get food on at dinners, at lunch, having food at lunch in school. He knows how it feels. That's the reason why he made it. He made it a thing for himself to make sure that no kid has to deal with that no more, especially during COVID.
This is why there's this petition going about that's got quite a significant amount of followers, and I'm sure you've all seen it. It's the petition to have verified ID before signing up to social media, and I think it's something that needs to be discussed in Parliament, and it needs to be put through. Obviously, we've had my opinion, we've had King's. Murat, I just want to touch on your opinion, mate. Where do you stand in all this?
Yeah, it's obviously a bit of a touchy subject for everyone, and it's not a nice thing to see, especially when they put in a performance like that at the Euros. And
obviously, you're from another heritage as well. You're not. You've got. I think he's Cypriot, isn't he?
Yeah, Turkish Cypriot. Yeah. For me, there's a bigger picture in this, and when is it ever going to stop? You know, there's that question, like, when is it ever going to stop? I know a lot of a couple of my friends are black friends, and they have been affected in these situations, not only just from what happened last week, but for many years now. And it's not a nice thing to see, like, when your friends are down. But for me, like I've always said, I think there should be not age verification, like the verified ID of someone when you sign up to social media. It will stop everything. Maybe there might be one or two that will still do it, but once you put that into place, I guarantee you it will go from 100% to about 0.5%. Because most of these people won't do it after that they've been verified, and they will get in trouble for it if they say anything bad. For me, there needs to be something done about this, like as soon as possible, because it's not fair for these players to go through that when they've given their heart and soul, not only for their community, but they gave everything on the pitch. Obviously, we know Rashford and Sancho didn't play as much, but the likes of Kyle Walker, I know obviously he's mixed race, but obviously he's got his mum or dad is black. Like this player, Sterling as well, for example. Players like that who are literally leaving everything they've got on that pitch. It's not fair on them. Like, just please stop doing it. It's not fair. Like we're all humans at the end of the day. We all have feelings, and when people say stuff like that, it does hurt.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the color of my skin, Marat's skin, King's skin. If you cut either of us, we all bleed the same color. We all bleed red.
Yeah.
We are all human. We all have our individual things that make us who we are, whether that be the color of your skin, your religion, your background, where you're from. Racism has no stand in football. There's a reason. There's a massive campaign to keep racism out of football, and you know, just the actions of these people alone really shows why that's a thing.
Yeah. The last thing I want to touch on, sorry to cut you up, Josh. The last thing I just want to touch on in this situation is, I just want to give credit to all these players or whoever has suffered from it in the past, how they've sort of dealt with it. And I know there's a lot of positives, as in like there's a lot of like good comments as well. Not only like with the negative stuff, like with the good comments. And I feel like some of the good comments will always outweigh the bad because there's so many good. And I just want to say, if anyone that is backing the players and they are doing the right thing, that I really appreciate them. And honestly, to whoever as a player has suffered from racial abuse, I am sorry. And I think, like I said, it shows fantastic character, especially from these younger players like Saka, to show that they're not going to let stuff like this to get to them. And hopefully we can kick all this racism out of football, not only in football, but in life in general.
It has no place in the real world, let alone in football. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even the likes of Russia, who are meant to be like one of the most racist countries in the world, I've not heard of any situations where there's been racist behaviour from the Russian fans. Not at all.
Which is crazy.
Which is rare. You've got a country like England, which is the most diverse country in the world. We've got people from all kinds of backgrounds. We're known as a very, very diverse country. I think 52% of people in the UK make up different backgrounds other than English.
Yeah.
And yet people are still being racist. It's absolutely disgusting. Anyways, we're going to cut to a short break. After the break, the Euros are now done. We are going to be discussing, finally, 4 weeks from now, we have the start of the new Premier League season. There's going to be so much information coming out. There's going to be so many reviews coming in the coming weeks. Obviously, we've got the pre-season starting soon. But we'll discuss that after the break. If you want to get involved in the conversation, you can call us on 07852 473 473. Alternatively, you can download our app on iOS and Android. We are live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on Twitch. If you've got any comments, leave them down below and we shall pull up your stuff on screen. As for right now, we're going to cut to a short break and we'll be back after this. Good afternoon.
And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh, so that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, got me thinking. You want to stand out. Why do you want to stand out though so much, especially with these kind of shirts when you're riding? There must be a purpose behind it, right?
Well, when you say a purpose, Nick, what I do, I wear the shirts, mainly because they're nice and bright, so they make me visible, especially if I'm riding on the road.
Okay. I mean, that's very important, right? Because you want cars,
very important. And also, like, people see me in like calves, and perhaps I shouldn't be saying this on here, I suppose, but in the bar afterwards.
All right.
And it gives them something to look at, and it makes them laugh. It makes them laugh, so that's why I do it.
Oh, and it could be a really good pickup line as well. Ladies who ask, "Hey, excuse me, so why are you wearing something so colorful?" I mean, hey, you can always have something up on your sleeve. I mean, you look like a guy who would do.
You know me too well. You know me too well, Nick.
The valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday. And what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. What am I saving or investing for? Why am I doing it? When will I need the money? And how much money do I need? Yeah. So that's quite important, because when you're looking at your net worth, you got to start with saying, well, what do I want my net worth to be, so that there's a goal, and then work backwards. How do I get there? And if I can start with £50 or $50 a week, if I save that every week, and you can go online and use calculators online. I don't have to teach you the maths behind it, but you can say, okay, and if I get a 3% return and I put this away for how long will it take to reach my goal? And that's called just this basic cash flow projection calculations. And it's what we use in financial planning all the time. What we say to clients is we say, okay, what is your goal? What is your objective? Where do you want to go to? And we discuss that in a lot of detail and over most of the meeting. And then the rest of it is saying, okay, in your exact circumstances, with your risk profile, with how you feel about investments and pensions and taxes and where you are and who you work with, and your education level or your lack of education or how involved you want to be. There's a lot of variables that we take into account, and then we say, okay, here's a plan. You start like this, that's great. And then we review it all the time. And we say, okay, we need to increase it, we're on track, we're not, this is what is happening. Because remember, when you're dealing with assets, the valuations that you place on an asset are always behind you. It's always in hindsight. It's never in front of you. And that's one of the challenges, right? Because you're always valuing what happened yesterday. And what you need is what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's a struggle. Yeah. So there are strategies everywhere from £50 a week up to £100 million, and they're different, right? They range differently from everyone, but and from country to country, to be fair. Different countries have different tax laws, so different vehicles. But from your point of view, at the sort of normal end, I'm not going to call it the low end because I'm in that boat as well. It's as tax efficient as you can get it. That's where you start. You use all the tax efficiencies, and then you step up into different things.
Welcome back to the Final Whistle, where we discuss all things football. Now, the Euros have come to an end, which means only one thing. Premier League is back in 4 weeks' time. Pre-season has started. Arsenal have obviously had their first pre-season match. Tottenham have their first pre-season match against a Leyton Orient outfit today. However, let's just touch on obviously the transfer window. Now, obviously the summer transfer window is the biggest transfer window in football, where we see all teams shaken up and we see all teams bringing some players that they look to make a massive impact in the future. Obviously, Arsenal have bought in Nuno Tavares and Ben White as well, you said?
Yeah, Ben White. I saw that transfer happen actually this morning. I got a quick news update saying that Arsenal have agreed to a deal for Ben White. I'm not too sure.
He's not put pen to paper. The deal's not over the line. It can still fall through, but it's pretty much as good as done.
Yeah, it's very, very close, basically. So, if I could just quickly check, it says Arsenal have agreed a deal to sign Ben White from Brighton. So, I didn't actually click on the notification itself. Yeah, 50 million deal to sign Brighton.
£50 million. Wow, that's big money. Obviously, this is where football's at now, isn't it? If you want the players, you have to pay the money.
Yeah, I don't know. Is he worth 50 mil? I don't know.
I don't know. Obviously, like everyone's bought in players. Well, every team apart from a few.
Yeah,
have bought in players. Obviously, Ashley Young is now back in the Premier League after making a free transfer to Aston Villa, where I think he's going to see out his career. One transfer I do want to touch on real quick. Well, there's two actually. Leicester and Liverpool, respectively. Leicester have bought in Patson Daka from Red Bull Salzburg for 23 million. And
They
Liverpool,
bought him.
they bought him in for 23 million. And Liverpool have bought in Ibrahima Konate from RP Leipzig for 36 million.
Oh crap!
Where do we? What do we think about those transfers right there? So obviously, let's start with Patson Daka from Salzburg.
Yeah,
For a Leicester squad as well. For Leicester, that's a big signing.
He's gonna show out. That's what I can see. I feel like he's gonna show out.
Patson is a good signing for Leicester. He's a really young player, a lot of potential, really quick. I haven't seen too much of him, but I've briefly seen them when they were in the, I think it was Europa League or Champions League. But yeah, he looks like a decent player. Obviously, I don't really know him that well to obviously comment, but from what I've seen of him, he does look like an extremely good talent. And Leicester always recruit well anyway, so I'm sure he's gonna have an effect on their season either way.
So Patson Daka, 22 years of age, he's a striker. In a 4-year spell at Red Bull Salzburg, 82 appearances, 54 goals. That's a pretty good conversion rate.
Damn.
It's definitely.
Do you know what it is? Yeah.
Represents the Zambia team as well. He's an African footballer, so represents Zambia on an international level.
Yeah,
22 years old with 54 goals and 82 appearances, and he's not even in his prime yet, and he's whacking those kind of hitting those kind of statistics.
Yeah.
Well, obviously we have to take into account as well. English football is very, very hard to break into. We've seen it with the likes of other players before. Obviously, a player that I'm going to talk about that I don't really like talking about, Roberto Soldado. Played Villarreal, I think it was, and he was banging goals in left, right, and centre. And he comes to Spurs and does absolutely nothing. So it is possible that it might not do well, but again, you can never really tell.
Similarly with Patson Daka as well, I don't think it will start every game because obviously Iheanacho last season had a fantastic year for Leicester, and I think Iheanacho got bedded into the squad at the right time because Vardy's still quality, but he's not the same player that he once was a few years ago. So I think Iheanacho sort of putting his stamp into that squad is definitely. I think he'll definitely be their starting striker this year. Depends. I think Leicester usually go with the two up top. So obviously we'll probably see Vardy and Iheanacho, and maybe Daka can come off the bench a few times. But like we've obviously mentioned, he's still very young, so I'm sure he'll have a lot of opportunities at Leicester.
One thing I'd like to say about Patson Daka is the fact that I feel as though it was a good move for him to go to Leicester, because I know if there's one thing I know about Leicester care about their club just as much as they care about their fans. They love everything that goes on in Leicester. That whole environment was built upon love for football and the community. So I feel as though him going to Leicester, he's going to be nurtured into a very good striker. And I feel like Leicester will help him break the mold of coming from, European football, like coming from Austrian football. I believe it's Austria, RB Salzburg. I believe they're Austrian, right? I'm not too sure. I might be wrong, but I believe they're Austrian.
Yes, Austria.
Austrian, yeah. So coming from Austrian football into Premier League football, as we already know that these small teams are capable of having, these young stars or like these gems in the rough, these diamonds in the rough. You bring a player like Patson Daka to a team like Leicester, I feel like they're going to really nurture him and like take care of him. They're really going to take care of him and, build him up, develop him very well. Once he gets to a point where he's able to make a name for himself in the Prem, that's when his name has now become, it's become a lot more widespread. And now, as Leicester would usually do, how Leicester do, quick flips, quick money, just like that. You see how they done it with Harry Maguire. I don't know how much they purchased him for, but they sold him for 80 mil. So it's capable,
£80 million fridge. There we go. And obviously, let's discuss obviously the Ibrahima Konate deal. Liverpool signed for £36 million. Centre back, probably gonna start alongside Virgil van Dijk. That's a pretty impressive back four they've got there right now.
No, not for me. I don't think it'll start over Joe Gomez.
You reckon?
Yeah, no, I don't think it will start.
He won't unless Liverpool choose to play a three at the back, which means they're leaving out Robertson and they could play a three at the back and have like Robertson and thing as wing backs. Yeah, if they choose to do that, then yeah, he might be able to start Konate. But basically, my first thought when I heard, no more broken pads on FIFA, crap. But
we've got. So obviously we're talking on the Premier League, but we just had a comment from Stu MC.
yeah.
Did Italy play fair? Are England once again claiming to be the devoid of sin and the morale arbitrators? I'm not even going to pronounce
arbitrators.
They played most front foot football except maybe the Spain game. Now, obviously, when we're talking about playing fair, obviously we're talking about the tactical fouls and the tactical decisions by the Italy team, and some of the fouls that were committed that could potentially be seen as quite violent as such. So obviously, the Chiellini shirt pull, the double-handed shirt pull of Saka, the studding of Jack Grealish, players getting caught, clashing heads in headers and stuff, and just the mentality of them grouping on players and drawing the fouls. But yeah, where do we stand on that quickly?
I mean, as I said before, Italy they played it with the intent of wanting to win at all costs. Like I said about with Chiellini, Italy played with the intent of wanting to win at all costs. England played with the intent of wanting to play tactical and being able to get their goals smartly, but they didn't capitalize completely after. As you'd already mentioned, after scoring that first goal, they just sat back. Like, yeah,
too complacent.
Yeah, like there's no room for complacency in the final. There's no room for complacency at all. So with Italy, after that shock, that Murat had also mentioned that they got shocked, seeing wow, like England really just scored against us. We need to score back. They made it a thing where cool, we got to fight back, we got to make sure that we're hitting, we got to make sure that we're going straight at this, and that's how they managed to score. Bonucci got lucky, right place, right time. But in terms of playing fair, as I said, hammer and tongs, they were doing it to win. They were trying to get scrappy, so they did what they needed. They did what they felt they needed.
Sometimes is the best way. Obviously, we've seen it all the time before. Dirty football sometimes wins games.
Yeah,
especially against a team. Obviously, England, we're well known for players diving and stuff and going down like a sack of spuds for the league, even so much as breathing on a player. There were times when every England fan, I think, questioned the authenticity of the referee, whether or not it was in Italy's back pocket. There were rumours and speculations being put on social media after the game that Mancini bought the ref and stuff like that. It's all bogus, it's all fake. But the main point of when we say did Italy play fair, it's discussing these antics and discussing what the general public have been saying. All in all, I think Italy did play fair. It was just very dirty football and tactical fouls. But there, yeah. I hope, Stu, I hope that answers your question, mate. Obviously, you've put another comment that I'm not going to bring up because I don't think it's relevant. But there we go. Right, let's touch back on the Premier League, like we said. So we're discussing Ibrahima Konate and how he's not going to start over Joe Gomez.
Yeah, basically, so my point was, I just thought, this is going to cause more broken controllers next year for FIFA. But nonetheless, Ibrahima Konate, one thing I can definitely point out about him, he is basically 1 out of 3 of the Holy Trinity of defenders from RB Leipzig. One thing we know about RB Leipzig is that their defense is stupidly quick and stupidly strong. They have the likes of Klosterman, they have the likes of Mukiele, and the likes of Upamecano, who currently has gone over to Bayern Munich. But when they were all playing together, this was literally like the holy grail of defense. It was damn near impossible to get away from plays like this, We've seen signs of... I haven't watched enough of Konate to make a complete judgment, but one thing I know is that he has played well alongside these 3 defenders. He's played very well alongside these defenders, and he's
just quickly. Sorry to cut you off. I'm just going to bring up this comment as well. Doesn't think hooligans, thugs, and racists are not relevant. Boris Johnson and Priti Patel would love you, mate. We've had a full discussion about the antics. Go back and watch the whole video. Go back and watch the whole episode of the Final Whistle, and you'll see that we've actually discussed this already, and we don't condone that behaviour. Again, thanks for your comment, but we've already discussed this, mate. Right, let's crack on.
Yeah, so as I was saying, literally, I feel as though he'd make a very good position. He'd play a very good role in the Liverpool defense. I don't think he will start over Joe Gomez, mainly because of the fact that Joe Gomez has literally been playing and literally solidified his spot as a starting centre back for Liverpool alongside the likes of Van Dijk. But in the event, and I'm not saying that this should happen, so like God forbid it, but in the event that Joe Gomez was to get injured, you definitely get the likes of a very good centre back in Konate to be able to replace him, and you'd be confident in knowing that he's going to play well. So that's what I think personally.
Yeah, Marat.
Haven't really watched much of him, to be honest. I don't really know.
Short and sweet. Brilliant. Short and sweet.
Yeah.
Love it.
I think that there's a lot more important transfers that have happened.
Yeah, obviously, when we were discussing Liverpool, obviously they bought in Ibrahima Konate, but they've also lost a massive player in Jorginho Wijnaldum, who has gone to Paris Saint-Germain on a free. Is that a transfer that's going to make an impact on that Liverpool squad, or are we going to see a better version of them? Do you reckon they were just cutting dead weight at that point, or have they really lost a future star there?
I mean, I wouldn't say future star. It's quite.
Well, you know what I mean. When I say future star, I don't necessarily mean future star.
Yeah.
But have they lost a key aspect of that squad?
Yeah, I would say. I wouldn't say key aspect, but I think he's a player that does make a difference to that Liverpool team. But I feel like with Liverpool, they've got quality all over their midfield anyway. So I'm sure that they've got a reason in why they've let him go on a free end. Yeah. Right.
Just quickly before obviously the last segment of the show, it's only going to be a short last segment. We're going to take a short break. If you want to get involved, you can do so by calling us on 07852 473 473. Alternatively, you can download our app on the iOS and Android store. We are live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch. If you've got any comments, leave them down below, and we'll pull your comments live up on screen. We'll be back after this short break. Good afternoon.
But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, "You've had one to forget," God, there'd be an inquest. Me, why did you reject my son? Oh, I haven't rejected your son.
I want to talk about, how the generation gap, how much has changed, especially when you check the youth nowadays in comparison, to people back in the day.
I'd say when I was younger, it was more disciplined. Not now.
In comparison to now.
Not at all. Not now. The way things are nowadays, the younger generation, you seem that they can't accept the word no, if that makes sense. They can't
accept rejection, essentially, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, they can't accept the word no. So if you, how did I do? Well, you didn't do very well. And they get upset, And when I was a youngster, my father used to say to me, because I used to be sport mad when I was very young. Well, I still am sport mad, but like participating in different sports. And if I had a bad game, for example, I'd say to me, "You had one to forget."
That's it. Your dad sounds like a smart guy. I mean, that's the real fact of the matter. Yeah.
He'd say to me, "You had one to forget. Get over it," and that was it. So I'd dust myself down and do it again. But now, if you say to a child, if I went up to a child and said, "You've had one to forget," God, there'd be an inquest. Me, why did you reject my son? Oh, I haven't rejected your son. Or daughter. I've just told them that they need to buck their ideas up.
That's the truth right there. I mean, if you think about it, if you check the generations, like right now in the US as well, I've seen a lot of these things as well. In the UK, you get medals for participation. But what's the point? What are you trying to? Yeah, what's the point? Either you win or you lose. People are so afraid to put that whole notion of losing. When it comes to right now, the generation gap is just crazy. How much a lot has changed. Social media has taken control of our lives, and we don't even realize it anymore. We're crippled because of it.
That's absolutely right, Nick. Because as you said, nowadays it seems that you get get rewarded for failure. You know, for the life of me, Nick, I can't get my head around that. Perhaps I'm just getting old and morbid, I don't know. I just can't get my head around how you could be rewarded for failure.
Welcome back to the final whistle. This is the final part of the show where we are discussing the Premier League and other football antics around the world. We are going to go slightly over, but I think there's a lot to discuss, and obviously there'll be some stuff to discuss in the future episodes. Obviously, both of you being Arsenal fans, let's just touch on the Nuno Tavares transfer. Now, I know Marat's got a lot of stuff he wants to say about this, so we'll start with Marat. Where do you stand with this transfer?
Yeah, man, I'm definitely happy with this one and the signing of Ben White. I think that's two fantastic signings that we've brought.
Let's not discuss the Ben White one until it's over the line. Like I said,
it's over the line. I knew about this a few days before. The personal terms have already been agreed. It was just getting a fee agreed between Arsenal and Brighton. Now that's done. Obviously, Ben White has always said that he's going to join. So for me, that's another fantastic signing. I think they're both the signings that we've needed. I think getting a backup left back, obviously when Tierney gets injured, or if we're going to play a free at the back, I think
say if, not when. We don't want to get injured.
Yeah, so if when that happens, so Nuno Tavares is a very interesting signing because he's a complete wing back. He's very strong on the ball. He's very quick. He's very good defensively, and I feel like with him we can only get better. Same with Ben White. I think we've seen him have a few solid seasons now for Brighton in the Championship and in the Premier League, and it was bound to happen where he's going to go to a bigger club than Brighton. No offense to Brighton, but I think we've signed Ben White at the perfect time. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how he gets on for sure.
Kings.
Well, for starters, I haven't actually seen enough of Ben White, if I am honest. Sorry, not Ben White, Nuno Tavares, if I'm honest. So I do need to go and check him up. But based on the excitement of Marat, and one thing I know about Marat is the fact that he definitely knows his stuff. He knows a lot more than I do. So I need to.
Mate. Arsenal.
I am definitely. I've been an Arsenal fan like pretty much my whole life, ever since I started watching them. So one thing I do need to do is I need to go and check up all of these transfers and take a good look at them. But Nuno Tavares, if there's one thing I do like about the Portuguese league, is that you definitely find gems. You can find gems anywhere you don't even realize. So Nuno Tavares, I'm hoping he is definitely a gem. I feel as though as a replacement left back, I'm not even too sure if we have a good right back at the moment, but I feel like it would be good to play him on the right because of the fact that we are kind of losing the type of player that Bayern used to be. So I feel as though it would be good to have him on the right just because we need that support on the right side right now. Like we need something on the right because it's like Bayern is good, but it's like he kind of goes off on his own rather than following the instructions of the manager. I don't know if you've seen this before, but I know that a lot of people have complained about, like, I have a few friends that are also Arsenal fans, and they've said this before. Like, sometimes they just don't like Bayern because he's always trying to run on his own and do what he thinks is best and then ends up messing up. So I need to search this up for myself and take a look at Nuno Tavares. But nonetheless, I'd like to be happy it's a good signing. So let's get ready for the season.
Now, obviously, with every transfer, obviously comes some departures as well, and obviously some key departures I just want to talk about. Danny Ceballos' loan has ended, so he's back at his original squad. Martin Odegaard has now left as well. His loan's ended. David Luiz's contract has expired. I don't really think that's a massive thing for Arsenal because David Luiz is a washed-up player anyway. You can fight me on that.
No. One thing I will say about David Luiz, obviously, as certain players get older, a lot of players lose, obviously, their quality and stuff. But David Luiz, as much as he had a lot of bad games, he definitely did have a lot of good games for us as well. And I know for a fact, talking for all the other Arsenal players, I think he's a massive character in the changing room. And obviously, because he's got so much experience and he's won a lot of things, I feel like his character that he brings into the dressing room will definitely be missed. But unfortunately for him, I think I think he knew as well that his time was up at Arsenal. He'll definitely be missed. I think, like I said, he's a massive character in that change room, and I know for a fact that we will miss him. But look, at the end of the day, we're bringing in Ben White now, who I think, like I said before, who I think he's just going to get better and better. Obviously, 50 million. A lot of people saying, is that too much for him? I say no, because the money that's getting put into football now, I think 50 million is pretty much a sort of level playing field sort of fee. So I'm excited to see now he gets on and what ideas Mikel Arteta has in terms of other departures. I think Martin Odegaard is definitely someone that I would have liked to see back at the club, even if it was a loan.
Just about to ask that as well.
Ceballos' first season at us was fantastic. I think he made a real difference in that midfield. But I think the second season last year, he didn't really play as often. And I think when he did play, he made a few mistakes and he wasn't effective as he was in the first season. So I can see why we're not loaning him back again for this season. But yeah, in terms of Odegaard, I think he'll definitely be missed. But another player that I think for me needs to go now that we got Tavares in. So it'll be Tavares and Tierney rotating at left back. I think for me, Kolasinac needs to go.
He's gone, isn't he? I'm pretty sure he's gone now. I'm pretty sure he's gone.
He's still there, no. He's still there. So hopefully in the near future or something, a club will come in for him, but we'll have to wait and see.
Okay.
But for me, we still have a few more transfers that we need to make before I'd say we're ready for this season.
Yeah,
and
obviously there's nothing's really happened at Spurs, so there's nothing really for me to discuss. Obviously, we've some
let's
players.
Be honest, nothing ever happens there anyway.
I'm talking about in the transfers, but we haven't bought anyone in. In terms of players leaving, Paulo Gazzaniga's contract expired in the last season anyway. Danny Rose has gone to Watford on a free. Kazaya Sterling's expired, and Juan Foyth has joined Villarreal on an undisclosed free on a permanent basis.
It just sounds like Spurs are losing players rather than gaining.
Well, we've got some players in the works. Obviously, we've got Nuno Santo now as our manager. We're linked with Wolves players. I don't understand why. But again,
that doesn't surprise me.
No, wait, let me not laugh here, because there's one player at Wolves that I would love at Arsenal, and I've been crying for him for so many years. Ruben Neves, what a baller! Ruben Neves,
I feel like he definitely turned around the whole Arsenal squad
to be at Arsenal. But to be fair, at the start of the window, it was linked with him very heavily. But now that the Euros have sort of died down, like there's not really much talk of him as well. So it will be interesting to see. I think there's a lot of rumours coming out again that apparently we're going to put in a bid for Houssam Aouar from Lyon, who I think is out of them two, either one of them I think will be a great signing for us. So.
For Arsenal, you heard about Arsenal wanting to put in a bid for Houssam Aouar.
Yeah. We're in contention with him as well.
Oh, Spurs, go away, man! You're not getting him.
Right. Anyways, right. Let's talk about players to watch for the season. Just quickly, what's the one player in the Premier League right now that we need to look out for this season?
I think for me it's too early. I think for me it's too early to say. I think we should. I'm going to have my say once all the transfers have happened. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of in and a lot of out. So I think for me, maybe that preview show that we're going to have before the first game, I think that's when I'll probably give my players to watch. Cool.
Now, obviously, we're coming to the end of the show. Kings, you wanted to say something before we went off air. What was it?
So literally, I just wanted to touch back on basically everything that happened with the England squad and the racial abuse that was received towards the three players that did not manage to pull through. Obviously, we do know that they weren't able to cap off what would have been, football coming home. And it's sad, but one thing you will not do is go and slate them, because at the end of the day, they perform for you. One thing I just want to be able to point out and say is that we are all one and the same. We all bleed red and we all live and breathe the same oxygen. No one is different just because of the color of their skin. Everybody has their own attributes that make them different, but we are all human beings. So we don't tolerate anything like that. We should never tolerate anything like that. And if you're allowing something like that to continue to happen around you, even if you aren't the one directly doing it, you are also part of the problem. So please, do not slate people for things like that. We don't tolerate racist abuse. Everyone just show love, Show love, light and happiness, because that's what we're here for. And cohesion. Football is what brings everybody together. So let's continue to stick together.
There we go. There we go. We've come to the end of the show now. I just want to thank everyone for watching and thank you for anyone that left comments. You can catch us again next Saturday here on the Final Whistle. We go live on Saturdays from 11 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon. The times may change. We may have a different slot depending on the Premier League fixtures, but that is soon to be told. As soon as we know, we will let you know. Once again, guys, thank you for stopping by. Make sure you stay tuned on Relaks Radio, where we have plenty of other entertainment for you. As for right now, we are very much out of time, and we will catch you next week, Saturday, 11 until 1 here on the Final Whistle. Thank you for your time, and good afternoon.